Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer The Old World Grand Cathay. Yeah, that's right, it's Cathay Day finally here on GMG. And this is your last sort of warning. If you're looking for GMG review content about Games Workshop in the future, you need to go to the GMG Games Workshop channel. All of the GW stuff is moving to a new channel to try and help the algorithm actually understand what the insanity is that I do here when I cover everything. So go, if you're looking for all of the box set reviews today for this stuff, it'll be on the new channel. I'm putting the match play guide and the Armies of Grand Cathay Arcane Journal up here so that you guys can see it, hopefully, and direct people over to the new channel so that in the future you'll get all your GW reviews and GW stuff there. But this was a big release, so I figured I'd put it on the old channel, or the main channel, just to try and highlight that you're missing stuff if you haven't subscribed over there yet. And so this is Arcane Journal Grand Cathay, which we're gonna be looking at first, along with the reference card pack. Now, this is a departure from the previous Arcane Journals Games Workshop has put out, because obviously this one's a full army book. This isn't just two armies of infamy that would add like new ways to play to the existing armies that are in the Ravening Hordes and the armies of Renown, Regiments Renown, whatever the hell it's called, whatever the first book's called. They should all be called Ravening Hordes. That's the original one was called. This is a separate army, and of course this is long awaited by Warhammer The Old World fans, because this represents the first new army created in the Warhammer universe, although Cathay has been around forever and talked about forever, and of course exists in Warhammer Total War. This was basically the thing that was whispered about way back at the beginning of this project by Games Workshop, and we assumed this was going to be the starter set. It was going to be these guys fighting Kislev or something, but no, we get it now. So again, a bit of a departure because this is the core army list. So we can assume that later on, you're going to see some additional units added to this army, because it's fairly reserved at this point. Like, it's not a huge army list. And that would include things like Armies of Infamy and alternate ways to play as well. So I can almost guarantee they've already kind of hinted at, I think it even said out loud, they're doing a second one of these, like a Regiments or sort of Arcane Journal addendum or part 2 to this thing later on. But it's more than enough for you to get playing. And we learn about the background. So the Celestial Dragon, basically, one thing that people, I don't know if they're going to be excited about this vastly expands the lore about dragons in the old world. And the fact that they're effectively gods, and that they're not super keen on the old ones and the Slan, and that, you know, there's one sort of like supreme one living over in Cathay that rules harmoniously over a collective of people, by the people, for the people, a socialist utopia, if you will. This is quite the whistle that's blowing right here with this realm of the Celestial Dragon Emperor. But with all old world and Warhammer things, of course, it's loosely based on our own history and world. And this is no different. Of course, they are, you know, anathema to chaos. They don't like, and they beef with the Chaos Dwarves. They beef with the Ogres in particular, and the Sky Giants that taught the Ogres how to use gunpowder, who were previously, I think, taught by the Dragons how to use gunpowder. So it's like, there's a lot of lore and background stuff in here that expands a little bit. It does make the Ogres one of the primary antagonists of the Cathayan Empire, though, and also some of them, of course, have sided with Cathay and work as artillery, you know, captains and like people inside the army too. So it's an interesting backstory. We got some cool, like, you know, big golem-y things too in the form of the Terracotta Sentinels. And a whole bevy of plastic kits from cavalry to characters to some big war machines like the Flying Lantern, which are extremely cool. So even though this is, you know, a fairly big, like, it looks like selection of kits, what we actually only have here is 1, because this is a double kit that makes 2 things. 2 for the Spear and Sword wielding Jade Warriors, and then 3 with the Cav. 4, 5 total with the Lantern and the Terracotta Warrior. So 5 different model kits, which you can see over in the other channel, and a character kit and a infantry character kit for your BSB and your little general. And this cool Spirit Longma, which is like a, I don't know, some kind of spirit animal, some kind of chicken dragon. And this box set here creates, of course, a Gatemaster and a Gatekeeper, which is your BSB and your sort of like general style character, who can also be a wizard. All right, and let's talk about the Grand Cathayan army list. So what do we got here? 50% characters, up to 1 dragon. There's no dragon model kit yet, but we can assume it's gonna be cool. Up to 1 Shigugan Lord or Lord Magistrate per 1,000 points. And then Shigugans, Gatemasters, Gatekeepers, and Strategists. So we have the Gatemaster and Gatekeeper miniature. We have the Shigugan Lords who are mounted already, which is the Spirit Longma mounted character. Core, 25% must be spent on Jade Warriors, and up to 1 unit of Jade Lancers as a core choice per 1,000 points can be taken. So that's your cavalry. 50% of your army can be spent on Jade Lancers, up to 3 War Machines, either the Fire Rain rocket batteries or Cathay Grand Cannons. And if your general is a Shigugan Lord or Shigugan, 0-1 Cathay Sentinels can be taken as a special choice. And if your general is a Lord Magistrate or Strategist, 0-1 Sky Lanterns can be taken as a special choice. And then rare is your Lanterns and your Cathay Sentinels, which is the big Terracotta Warriors. 20% can be taken from Mercs, and allies can be 25%. Any Empire of Grand Cathay Army or of Infamy composition list, so that's hinting that they're coming. And then one of the following Grand Army compositions. Let's see, the Dwarves, Empire, Kingdom of Bretonnia, Suspicious, Wood Elves, Suspicious, or High Elves. BSB is in Cathay and allies, with being suspicious for the Bretts and the Wood Elves, because they don't necessarily get along with them. All right, we got our big special character, Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon. So this is the big Cathayan dragon. She can be used as any Grand Cathay Alliance army, and she takes 2 forms. She's either a dragon or she's a person, and she can transform. And basically, this is one of those like what do you want them to be doing? That's the form you take, kind of thing. In her human form, she's a heavy infantry named character, and dragon form, behemoth named character. It's either on a 50 by 50 or 100 by 150 for the dragon form. Of course, there's no miniature for this yet, but people are gonna make them and print them probably until this thing comes out. Hopefully it'll come out quick. Human form, Talons of the Storm and heavy armor, and dragon form, Talons of the Storm, dragon fire and draconic scales. So the Talons of the Storm are combat, strength -2, armor bane, magic attack, strike first, and that's gonna be strength 7 because the dragon form is pretty huge. And then again, strength 4 for human form. And then Dragon Fire is no range, so it's template, strength 4, -1, breath weapon, flaming attacks. She's got full plate for draconic scales and heavy armor when she's a human. She's level 2, she's level 4, sorry, in human form, and a level 2 in dragon form. She can choose spells from her current level of wizardry per turn, so you can just change up your spells every turn. Miao Ying knows 4 spells chosen in the usual way from the following lores: battle magic, elementalism, and high magic. And then she's got Celestial Forged Armor on a 5+, and then Disdain of Dragons. So Celestial Forged Armor is in the Army Special Rules. A model with the special rule has a ward save against wounds suffered. The armor value and the ward save is shown in brackets after the name, and additional wizard with the special rule can wear armor without a penalty. So special dragon armor basically means that you can still cast spells. Disdain of the Dragons, and then she hates Chaos Warriors and Demons. Disdain of the Dragons is, I'm just gonna keep on this page. Sorry, it's on this one. Any models that wish to issue a challenge within Miao Ying's command range must first make a leadership test using their own leadership, and if the enemy model wishes to issue a challenge while engaged in combat, Miao Ying is also engaged in it, must apply a +1 to this dice roll if she's in human form, or +2 if she's a dragon. Because you're freaked out, you're not gonna challenge that. If it's passed, you challenge as normal. If it's failed, the challenge dies on the enemy's lips and goes unissued. And finally, her challenges can never be refused. She's just like, let's go, let's do this, I'm a dragon. I kind of love that. I kind of love that she's just imperious. Hatred, like I said, magic resistance 1, mystery of the storm winds, mastery of the elemental winds, stubborn, supreme matriarch of Nangao, transformation of the dragons, will of the dragons, and wrath of the storm. Supreme Matriarch is, if your army includes Miao Ying, she must be the army's general. In addition, 0-1 units of Jade Warriors and 0-1 units of Jade Lancers in her army can be upgraded to Celestial Dragon Guard for +1 points. They get +1 weapon skill and leadership to a maximum of 10 and get Celestial Armor 6+. They have a ward save as well. Her Wrath of the Storm is all units of Jade Warriors and Jade Lancers included in the army get Hatred, Chaos Warriors, and Demonic models because her army hates them because she's fighting them all the time. And then the Mastery of the Storm Winds is she can discard up to 2 of her randomly generated spells rather than the usual one. When she does so, she can replace them with spells chosen from the lore of Yang, see page 46, and the lore of Yin. The signature spell of her chosen lore of magic, or with the following spell, which is the Storm Dragon's Fury. So magic missile, 10+, range 18, and the target suffers 2d3 strength 5 flaming hits with AP of -3. That's an insane magic missile. These hits of the flame attack special roll, and once they've been resolved, the target must give ground, so you fall back. She basically shoots fireballs at you like she's a piranha plant coming out of a tube, and you have to run away. If you regenerate, you just don't get it. And then when she's in human form, she gets Rallying Cry, and when she's a dragon, she's Fly 9, Large, Stomp, D6, Swift Stride, and Terror. So Transformation of Dragons and Elemental Winds. During the start of turn subphases, the Grand Cathay player rolls a d6 to determine which of the elemental winds blows the strongest. On a 1 to 3, it's Yang. On a 4+, it's Yin. So the two lores basically will ebb and flow back and forth. When it's the winds of Yang, until your start of turn subphase, the lore of Yang special rules increase their dispel range and the range of any enchantments by 3. In addition, all friendly models of the Will of the Dragon special rule gain one of the following modifiers: +1 movement or +1 initiative, up to you. And then Yin is Hex and Magic Missiles get 3 inches of extra range, and Will the Dragons gain either +1 weapon skill or +1 leadership. And all eligible models gain the same modifier. You can't pick and choose between the two of them. So let's talk about those lores, Lore of Yang and Lore of Yin, because this is pretty like fundamental to their wizards. Constellation of the Dragon, so there's 3 for each. It's basically one lore divided in half, and you roll to see which one's ascendant. Constellation of the Dragon, it's Magic Missile, 7 and 11, range is 18. If it's cast on a 7 or more, it's d6 +1 strength 4 with an AP of dash. If it's 11 or more, it's 2d6 +2 strength 4 with an AP of 1. Grand Bastion, it's an enchantment on 9+ with a 12-inch range. Remember, it could be a 13. Same with this one, could be a 21. Remains in play, the target friendly unit gets a 6+ ward against any wounds. In addition, every model in the front rank of the enemy unit that has charge movement ends in base contact with the target unit, whilst the spell's in play, must take a dangerous terrain test. So basically, if you're charging them, you're going through like a little wall of like fire or something. Any wounds lost are counted as unsaved wounds inflicted in combat res. However, while the spell's in play, the unit cannot march or charge. Basically, you have to stand still. And this spell may target a friendly unit engaged in combat. So, sorry, you don't have to stand still. You can move around a little bit, but you can't like go very far because you're defending your Great Bastion. And then Might of Heaven and Earth, it's an enchantment with a 9/12. The range is self, so this is on yourself. If this spell is cast with 9 or more, the mount and any unit they've joined gain a +1 modifier to weapon skill and strength to a max of 10 in flaming attacks. If it's cast on a 12 or more, all friendly units that are within the caster's command range get a +1 weapon skill and strength to max 10 flaming attacks. So basically, it's either your own unit is affected by it or everyone in your command range is affected by it, which is a huge spell. And then Lore of Yin, Spirits of Wind and Shadow, it's a Hex on a 10+. This is range 15 or 18, depending on if it's Ascendant. Until your start of turn subphase, the target enemy unit gets random movement d6. So you just slow somebody down terribly. The Accursed Mirror is a Hex on a 9+, so range 15. Until start of next turn subphase, any rolls to hit of a natural 1 made by the target enemy unit during the shooting phase or the combat phase result in you hitting yourself at strength 3 AP -1. The spell may target an enemy unit engaged in close combat. So basically you start like tripping over yourself. And then Ancestral Warriors is an Assailment on a 7 or an 11, and the range is only in combat though. If this spell's cast with a 7 or more, a single enemy unit you're engaged with takes 2d3 strength 2 hits with an AP of dash. If it's an 11 or more, the target enemy unit suffers 2d6 strength 4 hits with an AP of -1 and has Armor Bane 2. So your 6s get better. So now you kind of get an idea of how insane Miao Ying is. And that kind of makes sense why she's 485 points. So a massive dragon stat line, right? 7 wounds. She's got that full plate armor. She's got that sweet ward save of 5+. And then, yeah, she's an insane wizard on top of this with great spells because she's a Master of the Stormwinds. And she can replace them with spells chosen from the Lore of Yang and the Lore of Yin. So just, you generate random spells from Battle Magic, Elementalism, and High Magic. And then, yeah, just take a Yin-Yang spell and bust heads. Storm Dragon Fury is cool. I don't know if it's as cool as Might of Heaven and Earth and Constellation of the Dragon are. It's pretty great too. Actually, sorry, it is pretty great because you have to give ground too. So yeah, she's pretty bananas. 485 points she should be. And then the dragon special rules are Transformation of the Dragon. They can adopt human forms and dragon forms. To represent this, you may choose a dragon's form at the start of the game, so you may place the appropriate model on the battlefield. In human form, they are wise and beloved leaders. They're heavy infantry. And then dragon form, they become dragons and behemoths. However, while they're in dragon form, they don't get the Inspiring Presence rule. And then Death of a Dragon, when they lose a wound, that wound is lost from both of its characteristic profiles. The first time during a game that a dragon is reduced to 0 wounds while in dragon form, they immediately revert to their human form and recover D3 wounds. Once this occurs, they may take the dragon form for the remainder of the game, because basically you've been busted out of your dragon form. If a Cathayan dragon is reduced to 0 wounds while in human form, they're removed from play as a casualty. So if you start in dragon form, basically you're getting the D3 extra wounds total. And then transformation, in addition to transforming when they're reduced to 0 wounds, they can choose to transform from their human form to dragon form and vice versa during the command subphase. Simply place the appropriate model within 6 of the model representing the Cathayan dragon's current form, not within 1 of friendly models, not within 3 of any enemy models. And once the model representing the Cathayan dragon's new form has been placed, remove the model representing the previous one, and it transforms this way. It immediately recovers D3 lost wounds, so you can just regenerate every time you transform. Cathayan Dragon cannot declare a charge during a turn in which it transformed and counts as having moved for the purpose of shooting, but can otherwise move normally during the remaining moves subphase. But if they transform into a dragon, they leave the unit they were in. So yeah, pretty crazy. Can't wait to see what the Emperor's form is, if you can take him. And then Shigugan Lords of the Celestial Host. And this is the guy riding the Great Spirit Longma. He's also on foot if you want to, as a general, or a Lord. So the Lord is weapon skill 6, the general's 5. The Lord gets an extra wound to 7 as opposed to 6. These guys are real tough. Initiative 6 to 5, 4 attacks, leadership 9, 220 or 145. They are troop type monstrous creature character, and the Longma has strength 5 attacks at initiative 4, since it's 3 of them. So you're always going to be mounted. They're a level 2 wizard, general's level 1 wizard, and they know either battle magic, elementalism, illusion, or high magic. You can have Celestial Blades and Celestial Lances. Now these are special equipment from the Cathay army list. The Lance is strength +1, -1, armor bane 1, fight extra ranks. And the Celestial Blade is strength +1, AP -1, strike first. Note, models whose troop type is cavalry, monster, or chariot only. So yet this is the one that the riders are carrying. And it only applies during a turn in which the wielder charged. And then your blades are strike first, +1, -1 AP. Just a great sword. And then your fire pistol is strength 5, -1, flaming attacks, multiple shots, 2, and quick shot. Gunpowder bombs are 9-inch range, strength 3, armor bane 1, move and shoot, quick shot. And if you succeed, it does D3 hits to the target unit rather than the usual 1. It doesn't use a blast template, it just does D3. And then your fire bombs are armor bane 1, flaming attacks, move and shoot, and quick shot. And if you hit with this one, it's D3 +1 rather than the usual 1. So your gunpowder bombs and dragonfire bombs are basically like little hand grenades, but they don't use templates, which means they're a bit easier to resolve. And I like that they handle it that way as opposed to having to go through like the whole stone thrower mess. Just different from a stone thrower. Like it's a war machine. Little hand bombs shouldn't be explosions that are that big. And so yeah, so like with this, just a blade, he's going to be strength 5 with that extra AP. The dragonfire pistol is 4 points. Light armor can go to heavy armor, and you can choose the following special rules, either the Lore of Yin or the Lore of Yang. So you can check either of those lores or the other 4 lores up top. Lore of Yin Yang is really good. And then you can become Lord, it can be level 3 or level 4, and purchase 100 points of magic items. The General can be level 2 and take 50 points of magic items. So they got Armored Hide 2, so adding 2 to that heavy armor for a 3+ save. Celestial Forge for 5+ ward, countercharge, fear, fly 9, impact hits D3 +1, master the elemental winds, swift stride, and will of the dragons. So, and then the Iron Talons and the Crown of Horns on the monster are strike first at strength with -1 AP, and then combat with the Crown of Horns can be 1 attack at strength -1 and armor bane 1. So nice overall general for like, we're probably floating in at like 300-ish points. Doesn't need a ton of magic items, he's already got a ward save. His basic weapon's pretty great. Like, yeah, like does what he says in the tin, and he's a wizard, and he fights, and he flies. So our little guys, we got our Gatemaster of the Celestial Cities. This guy can be mounted or on foot with the Battle Center Bearer. Weapon skill 7 or 6. These guys have bananas weapon skill. The Bretonians are jealous of all of this. And then these guys have like your actual regular human stat line, like 4s across the board until you get to wounds, and attacks that are both 3, 80 points or 45 points. Still just great, takes blades and lances. So strikes first with his blade for 6 points. Wars for 16 points. Gatemaster can purchase up to 100 points of items, and the Gatekeeper 50 points. If you're not taking the Shigugan Lord then or General, like this guy's still great. And then they've got Harmony of Stone and Steel and Will of the Dragons. A unit joined by a character with the special rule can reroll failed leadership tests when attempting to perform a running down a foe, when attempting to redirect a charge, or when making a restraint test, because they're just that good at war. And your warhorse is going to be movement 7, strength 3 attacks, 16 points. And he's got Cathay Cataphracts and Countercharge. So Cathay Cataphracts is the same rule as the riders over here, the Jade Lancers. And that's when a unit with the majority of the models have the special rule, make a follow-up move, the unit counts having charge during the next turn. So basically you keep your lance attack bonus during the next turn when you follow up. So if you push someone back, you're still charging as long as you're still winning the combats and pushing people back. Countercharge, first charge, and swift stride. All right, here's something we don't have models for yet, but it's the Magistrate. He's just a human champion, 65 points, right? It's got 2 wounds or 1 wound. And then the gunpowder drums or dragonfire bombs, kind of like engineers. He can be mounted on a Sky Lantern. So I guess technically we do have the model for it because there's one on the Sky Lantern. You can just stick them on a base if you want to. I think I noticed that in the box set. And then 100 points of magic items or 50 points of items for the Strategist. And they've got Harmony of Stone and Steel, just like this guy. Will of the Dragons and Grand Strategist, which is unless this character's fleeing, all friendly units within their command range, except your general, can use this character's leadership characteristic instead of their own. In addition, once while a friendly unit that wins around a combat, while in this character's command range, can choose to fall back in good order rather than make a follow-up or pursuit move. So basically, you get all the options in combat if you got one of these guys, because again, they're just that good at war. And we're into our core choices now. 0 to 1 Jade Lancers, right for core, but then Jade Warriors are all the time. And these guys are your spears or hand opening shields. Halberds or hand opening shields, not spears. And there's weapon skill 4 humans, 8 points. Heavy armor, hand weapon, halberds and shields are both free if you want to upgrade to them. And then any unit can have a Jade Officer, a Standard Bearer, and a Musician, so full command for another 18 points. 1 per 1,000 points can be drilled, stubborn, and purchase a magic banner up to 50 points. They're close order, defensive stance, attachment, regimental unit, and Will of the Dragon. So they can use detachment rules just like those sweet, sweet Empire dudes. And then defensive stance, unless it charged during the preceding movement phase or counts as having charged this turn, a unit with the special can reroll any armor save of a natural 1 made during the combat phase. So they just reroll 1s to save, because they're not charging. And then your Jade Lancers, these are your Cav, again, regular human stat lines, weapon skill 4, so kind of like Empire Swordsman stat line. Base unit size is 5+ for both these actually, which is interesting for the Jade Warriors. And they get attachment, right? So you can have little halberds on the sides. They get hand weapons, Cathay Lances, heavy armor, and shields. They get that Cathay Lance bonus for their strength 4. And then your warhorses and barding. So you're going to have with heavy armor, that's going to be 4+, 3+, yeah, 3+, 2+ actually with your shields. And then options, upgrade 1 model to a Jade Officer Lancer, so 18 points for full command. Purchase Magic Standard for 50. Lancer Officer can purchase 50 points of magic items, and then 100 points for ambushers, sorry, up to 1 per 1,000 points. You can have ambushers, which is crazy, for 1 point. You can be outriders and go on the flank. Drilled or stubborn. And they get Cathay Cataphracts, close order, countercharge, horde, swift stride, and Will of the Dragons. We already saw Cataphracts. It's the count as having charge when you make your follow-up moves, because again, you're real good at war. And like I said, it's not a long army list. We're already into the Sky Lanterns. This is your floating gun platform. You get 1 Sky Lantern. It's strength 5, toughness 5 with 7 wounds for 135 points. Considering how huge they are, and again, remember, they're made out of paper, so they're not that durable. Paper and magic. Your gunners are ballistic skill 4, and your commander's ballistic skill 5. And then it's a heavy chariot on 100 by 100. 4+ armor save. You got hand weapons in these guys, and then you got crane guns, which are over here. So Sky Lantern crane guns, 36-inch range, strength 6, -2, armor bane 2, and cumbersome. And those are free. Or iron hail guns and gunpowder bombs. The gunpowder bombs we've already seen. Iron hail guns are basically little machine guns. 12-inch range, strength 3, -1 AP, move and shoot, multiple shots, D3. I really like the Sky Lantern's crane guns. And then you can take Sky Lantern bombs for 15 points, or iron hail guns and dragonfire bombs for 20 points. And they're close order, disengage, Eye of the Dragon, feigned flight, fire and flee, fly 8, heavenly beacon, impact hits D3+1, and then large target, reserve move, scouts, unbreakable. So Eye of the Dragon means friendly models whose weapons shoot using the bombardment special rule can shoot using this model's line of sight rather than their own, because they call in shots. So this is great for artillery. Disengage, you just float away. Should this model lose a round of combat, it can attempt to disengage by making a leadership test. If it's pass, this model may fall back in good order rather than giving ground. Enemy units to follow up this as if this model was given ground, only moving 2 inches directly towards it, but they can't pursue it. So basically you fall back and they just like detour you, you just float away, you float up into the air. In addition, should it win a round of combat, this model can use to fall back and get over instead of making a pursuit move. You just be like, bye, I'm a lover, not a fighter. You're a heavenly beacon. Unless this model is fleeing, friendly units within 12 of this may reroll any failed panic or rally test. In addition, while this model is on the battlefield, unless it's fleeing, you may apply a +1 or -1 modifier to the result when rolling to determine if a friendly unit with an ambush or special rule that's currently held in reserve arrives this turn as reinforcements or is delayed. Finally, a Lord Magistrate or Strategist mounted on them has a command range of 12 inches. So you can have a general floating up there if you want with a 12-inch command range, calling in your reserve Jade Lancers units with bonuses. Your bombs, it may perform a bombing run attack against a single enemy unit not engaged in combat when it moves. To do so, it must move over within 6 of the unit, actually, so not even over it. And then once this model's movement is complete, roll on the bombing run table. On a 1, you lose a wound because you blow up in your hand. 2, it's a dud, nothing happens. The enemy unit loses a single wound as the thing coconuts on somebody's head. 3 to 4 is a direct hit, so it's a strength 5 -2 AP blast template. And then it's a D6 scatter. And bombs away! A cluster of bombs is released. Place 2 small 3-inch blast templates at the center holes over the enemy unit. And when placed, each one will scatter D6. Any model whose base lies underneath the hole is strength 5 with a -2 AP. And of course, you can mount a character on it. And we got our Sentinel. This is the big terracotta warrior. He's not a dragon, but he's pretty close. Movement 6, weapon skill 5, and then 6 strength, 6 toughness, 6 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 10, 230 points. He's close odor, immune to psychology, implacable, large target, stomp attacks, G3+1, terror, timber, and unbreakable. And you can make them different kinds of Sentinels depending upon the type of stone you're made out of. So you're a terracotta for free, but you can be jade, obsidian, granite, or warp stone for 40. That one feels like the technology is going to get stolen by the, whatchamacallit, the Skaven. If you're terracotta, you get a 6+ regenerate. If you're jade, a single spell from battle magic or elementalism at bound power level 3. If you're obsidian, your magic resistance -2. In addition, any enemy wizard to cast a spell within 12 of 1 or more of you must make a leadership test. If it's failed, the wizard's casting roll suffers a -3. If it's passed, it's a -1, because you're just a lodestone. Granite is armor value improved by +1, so terracotta armor's heavy armor goes to 4+. And it's immune to multiple wounds X. If you lose a wound from it, you just take a single wound. And then finally, Warpstone. You have magic attacks. In addition, while in base contact with 1 or more, enemy units suffer a -1 modifier to their toughness, because you're radioactive. Implacable means once per game during a turn in which you charge, this model can choose not to give ground should it lose a round of combat. In addition, once per game, this model can reroll its charge roll. And then your Great Blade has 2 attack profiles. It's either Scything Blow or Deadly Strike. So Scything is your user strength -2, armor bane 1, extra attacks 2d3, and then strike last. So you strike slowly, but you're going to get between 5 and 9 attacks at strength 6. And then Deadly Strike is strength +1, so strength 7, -4, killing blow, monster slayer, and multiple wounds D3. So that's you're fighting up another monster. So pretty cool for 230. Big cool model, easy to paint too. Jesus, so easy to paint. And then we got our 2 different rocket batteries. I love there's ogres on them. It makes me so happy the ogres are here. It's just, I love this army just for ogres. This is my next old world army. You get your Fire Rain rocket battery. He is toughness 6 with 3 wounds, and then the Cathay artillery. Dudes are, 3 attacks, just 3 across the board, basically. 3 wounds. 130 points. You can have your Ogre Loader for 35 points. And if you do, you gain an Ogre Loader. He is just an ogre, so weapon skill 3, blood skill 3, strength toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 2, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and 35 points. And he can take gunpowder bombs. He's got a hand weapon and light armor. Enough for everyone and mercenary crew. If an Ogre Loader is equipped with gunpowder bombs, the crew of the War Machine is also equipped with them because there's enough for everybody. And then Mercenary Crew, an Ogre Loader is a special type of character that can be taken as an upgrade to accompany a Cathayan War Machine. During deployment, position Ogre Loader with its War Machine as you would a character that's joined a unit. Once placed, they cannot leave. The crew of any War Machine joined by an Ogre Loader gains +1 to its movement characteristic and stubborn. In addition, once per game, a Fire Rain rocket battery or Grand Cannon that includes them may fire twice during the shooting phase or re-roll a single artillery dice. So double shots once per turn, which is crazy. And you get your Bastion rockets and rocket batteries. So Bastion rockets are 12 to 48, strength 4, 5 under the hull, -1 or -3. Arbane 1, bombardment, cumbersome, mover, shoot, and multiple wounds, D6 under the hull. It's basically a stone thrower. And then rocket battery, it's like a stone thrower, and a 5-inch blast. So this is 12 to 48 again, strength 3 or 4, -1 and -1, Urbane 1. And then flaming attacks, mover, shoot, and wailing spirits. Wailing spirits is any unit that suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds must make a panic test if they took heavy casualties, because you're firing fireworks at people. Extremely cool. And then there's the giant Cathay Grand Cannon. Same idea, can take an Ogre Loader, and it's just 48-inch range, strength 10 -3, Arbane 3, cannon fire, cumbersome, mover shoot, multiple wounds D3 +1, and thunderous impact. So it's a great cannon. These is cannon fire. And then until the start of your next turn subphase, any unit, friend or foe, within 2d6 of the strike point where Cathay Grand Cannon shoots suffers a -1 of their movement and cannot use Swift Stride, because you pound the ground so hard. So cool. I love that you can just fire 4 times in the first turn if you want. Why not? Yeah, and that's it. That's the whole army list. So we're into magic items. We've already seen the armory and the lore of yin and yang. So we're just into magic items. And I think that's it. Yeah, we've seen all the armory. So this is it. This is the end of the book. All right, so we've got some magic weapons. The Monkey King's Wisdom for 75 points. A huge ornate club taken from the Monkey King. Strength 10 -4, magic attacks. Multiple wounds D3, 2 hand strikes last. Just it's a cannon. It's a hand cannon. It's the old Empire mace, except it has more than 1 attack. And the Jade Blade of the Great Fleet for 70, strength +2, -2 armor main, -1, magic attacks and regenerate 5+, you gain regenerate. The Spirit Lung with Spear for 25. Combat is strength +1, and then -3 armor bane magic attacks. And any model whose cavalry, monster, or chariot can take this thing. Its strength and AP only count when you charge. But if, of course, you give it to somebody with that Jade Lancer rule, then you're always going to be charging as long as you're falling in and following up into combat. 20 points for some paired Sun and Moon Blades. Strength user, and then AP -1, extra attacks, 1 magic attacks, and requires 2 hands. If the wielder of it is struck by a killing blow, roll a d6 on a 4+, you parry it. So you're not immune to killing blow, but you have a 4+ save against it. And then we have our magic armors. Armor of the Warbird for 45 points. Models whose troop type are regular or heavy infantry. It's heavy armor, and you gain countercharge, fly 9, and swift stride, but you can't join a unit. It's like a little solo fighter. Just take that guy. If only you could take 120 points of magic items. Give him the Monkey King's Wisdom and just go demo a dragon. Talisman, the Crystal of Kunlan for 35 points. It's a 5+ ward against any wound suffered. In addition, a natural 6 rolled with making a ward save. Every enemy unit in base contact takes a strength 3 AP dash with flaming attacks because you like sun flash off the dude. It's like an old refractor field in 40k. You have a lot of 5+ wards floating around this armor from the Celestial rule though. I don't think this one's that popular for the reflect because it only happens on a 6. That one seems kind of like a dead item. Crown of Jades, I guess you could give it to the whatchamacallit, you could give it to the dude on a lantern, maybe. Crown of Jades is a 4+ ward against any wound suffered by a magic missile, magic vortex, or an assailment spell. That'd be good for the Longma Rider for only 20 points. And then Shield of Nangao for 20 points. It's a shield. In addition, in turn in which you charge, you improve the bearer's armor value by 2 to a maximum of 2+. And then finally, the Standard of Wei Jin, 40 points. If you're carrying it, you cause fear. In addition, all enemy units within 12 carrying of this banner suffer a -1 to their leadership characteristic when making a fear, terror, or panic test, because it's just a real spooky piece of cloth. The Icon of Heavenly Fury for 35 points. Single use, a unit carrying the Icon of Heavenly Fury can activate during the command subphase of any turn until the start of your next turn subphase. Enemy units cannot use the Fly X special rule, so basically just call down the clouds. The Dragon's Eye banner for 30. When an enemy wizard chooses a unit carrying the Dragon's banner as a target of a spell, roll a d6. On a 3+, they must choose a different target. If there's no other visible target in range, can't cast it. And the Banner of the Bastion, you get Shield Wall. Now we're stealing stuff from the ogres. The Maw Shard. If an enemy wizard rolls any natural double when making a casting roll with an 18 of it, the spell's miscast regardless of the casting roll. And that's all the time. All the time. That's crazy. An 18-inch miscast on doubles. Alchemist Mask for 35 points. The wearer of the Alchemist, that's the Hellheart, but all the time. The wearer of the Alchemist Mask can take the Plague of Rust spell from Lord of Elementalism. It's a bounce spell with a power level of 3. And then Spirit Lantern, you cause terror. In addition, the Spirit Lantern carrier can reroll any ones of wound against demons and undead creatures. The Cloak of Pomei for 50 points. In addition to the randomly generated spells, this is arcane, so wizards only. The wearer of the Cloak of Pomei knows all 3 spells for the Lord of Yin or the Lord of Yang, depending on what you want. However, they can only cast a number of spells equal to their level of wizardry every turn. So basically, 3 extra spells from one of those 2 lores. Guardians of Feng Shibo for 35. Any enemy model that directs its attacks against the owner of the Guardian of Feng Shibo during the combat phase is -1 to hit. And then the Learned Feng Shibo for 15 points. It's basically a little familiar. The owner of the Learned Feng Shibo knows 1 more spell than is normal for their level of wizardry, but doesn't increase your amount that you can cast. And that's it. So yeah, again, like I said, a really compact army list, lovely new miniatures. Is it super functional right now? You can play the army right now, right? You have a pretty elite Empire army with a very specific type, group of units. You have no shooting infantry though. You just have war machines and the lantern. You have only very mixed fighty wizards as your wizards, or a dragon, which is a bananas choice. And your elite fighting units are basically the Terracotta Warrior and the Cavalry. Other than that, you're just hitting with little strength 3 guys, strength 4 if you're taking the halberds. You can lean into the detachment system, right, to close some gaps, but you're not gonna be doing any standing fire because there's no guns on those Jade Warriors. So right now, you're gonna probably mostly be playing the same army as everybody else. You don't have a lot of flex in here. And if you look at the point values, it's a good thing the infantry are relatively inexpensive because everything else is pretty spendy. Your characters are floating in the elf range for characters because they're so statted up. And your magic lore is really, really good. So your wizard levels are, appropriately costed to make you a little bit higher as well. And there's no negatives to the wind blowing left or right. It's just positives. It just gives you extra bonuses on which lore it's going to be. So I like it because it does mean that painting this army is going to be relatively quick. I'm pretty confident I have at least 2,000 points just with the kits that I got sent to review, because it's 600 points just in the Longma and the Terracotta Sentinel, which I'm going to paint a different color so I can use this as something else. I might paint him with just different color. I might paint him like Voltron, where his arm is warpstone and his leg is granite and then his body is something else that he can just call in all the powers whenever he wants to. That'd be a funny little gag. He assembled like Voltron, and I'll be the head. And then, Jesus Christ, I'm old. So I do think that this will be a quick one to get on the table, because apart from your infantry, which are still not inexpensive, they're basically dwarf costed at 8 to 9 points each. Your Jade Warriors are going to be probably in the 20 of them will be in the range of 200 to 250 points if you give magic items. And your Lancers are 20 points per model, right? So 10 Lancers is another 200 points. The army is going to fill up relatively quickly in all your different slots. That means it's going to paint up relatively quickly, which is nice for a fantasy army. It means the blood cost to build these guys initially is not going to be too high. And then I guess we should look at these reference cards. They give you your key items, and they reference all of your spells, your magic items, and then just extra special rules you might want, and your armory. So if you need to know what gunpowder bombs and stuff do, it's just, you deal them out. It's quicker than looking through the book. But again, there's not that much stuff in here, and this book's not so huge that these are as necessary. These are great actually for when you're dealing with the big heavy army books like Ravening Hordes and stuff like that, or you're referencing multiple arcane journals and stuff and going across factions. This is a pretty slim book. You don't need too much to go with it. So that's a look at Grand Cathay. My next Warhammer the Old World army, and the army I'm going to be taking, and I'm going to play them with my ogres, because ogres are their natural enemies, and I still have my Warhammer Fantasy Battle ogre army, which I'm hoping gets a new arcane journal soon, which would be great. I'm pretty happy with this. It's exactly what I expected. Obviously, they've left a lot out so they can do more. So there's going to be, the Princess Mononoke, arquebusiers shooting their guns. There's going to be a bunch of extra stuff that comes out over time, and there's already profiles in here for things that I haven't released. They'll probably drip some stuff out in between this and the next book, which will probably give us the Dragon Emperor. I'm guessing whatever the handgunners equivalent is, right? They're the little arquebus guys. and you know, what other the Warhammer Total War players will tell us exactly what units we're gonna get, because they're gonna give us all those units eventually. And yeah, next up is the match play guide on the same channel. And of course, head over if you want to check out the miniature box reviews, all the kit reviews, which will be on the new GMGW channel. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Thanks for workshops sending this stuff along. Thanks, Ash.